You worked through a headache this morning. Promise yourself you'd stop at lunch. Now it's afternoon and you haven't. Honestly, a quiet part of you might even feel proud of that. I want to say something that might sound wrong, and then I'll spend the next 12-ish minutes proving it. Your ability to stop working isn't a sign of strength, discipline, or ambition. It's a fear response, and the more successful you become, the better it disguises itself. I'm Andrea, a clinical therapist with 25 years experience in CBT, EMDR, and clinical hypnotherapy. And women who come to me are rarely the ones falling apart visibly. They often are the opposite, holding everything together successfully on paper, but exhausted inside, unable to slow down even when their body is begging them to. By the end of this video, you'll understand 3 important points that almost no one mentions. First, why telling someone to just rest is actually the worst advice for this type of burnout. Second, the true origin of this pattern, which is rarely where you expect. Third, the initial step I'll take with every founder who reaches out to me, unable to stop, which you can begin today. Now, there's one part of this, a bit of why rest backfires, which even most therapists get wrong. Stay with me for that. So I refer to this pattern as the pusher. Appears highly functional externally, while internally the body is screaming. The perspective that shifts everything is to see pushing not just as drive forward the momentum or desire to want more than others. It's not. Pushing as a freeze response expressed in reverse. Let me clarify this as the main point of the video. Your nervous system has 3 gears. The accelerator, the fight-or-flight state, where your heart's racing, scanning for threats. And there's the brake, calm, clear state, in which your best decisions were actually made. And there is the shutdown. It's called the freeze, the fog, the collapse, the state in which you can't think and you can't start. Most founders think burnout means complete shutdown. However, the pusher does something smarter, riskier. Her body detects the impending freeze, collapse, fog, and halt, and then floors the accelerator to escape it. So, you're not pushing towards something. You're pushing away from a stop your body has decided is dangerous. You're running and you just can't see what from. Now, here's the part I promised you earlier. The reason just rest mode doesn't work for you. The reason the bath, the holiday, the digital detox, and the wellness weekend all leaves you feeling more wound up, not less. I'm going to say something the entire wellness industry won't approve of. For the pusher, rest is not the medicine. It is the trigger. If your body is linked, stopping with danger, it has then been attempting to stop, will trigger a threat response from your nervous system, not relief. So it reacts by intensifying its protective measures. That's why even on day 3 of the holiday, you might feel restless on the beach. It's not a failure to relax. Rather, your protection system is doing its job as intended. And this is where I part ways with most people in my industry, right? The advice you received, like set better boundaries, practice self-care, or just take a break, exists within the thinking brain, specifically in the prefrontal cortex, which handles planning and reasoning. And here's what chronic stress has already done. Elevated cortisol takes the thinking brain offline, and the threat detection center, that is the amygdala, takes the wheel. So the very moment the pattern backfires and you're trying to apply sensible advice, the part of your brain that could use it has already left the building. You've been aiming the good advice at the wrong floor of the building. Now, let me clarify something important here. It was never your willpower at fault here. It wasn't just about needing to be more disciplined at rest. The real issue was the method, which was targeted at the wrong system entirely. That should feel like a relief because it means you were never the problem. If that just rearranged something in your head so that you realize that the problem was never you, but the method, then this channel is going to be really useful to you. I will teach you one of these 9 patterns properly every week. No shouting, no shocked faces in the thumbnail, just 25 years of clinical work explained calmly so you can actually see the machinery you've been running on. Subscribe and stay. It's free and the closest thing to sitting in my clinic room without booking a session. So, right, where does this come from? The pusher is almost never built in adulthood. It was built young, at home, where stopping genuinely wasn't safe. It tends to come from one of 3 places. The first scenario involves a home operating emergency mode. An unwell parent, maybe who drank or faced struggles in the family that did acknowledge it. Money was unpredictable and could vanish at any moment. From an early age, you understood that relaxing even slightly could let something harmful slip in. So you became the one who constantly stayed on alert. The childhood maintained the vigilance, and the body conditioned to never relax doesn't forget that habit simply because you've now built a successful business and have a comfortable office. The second is a home where you were loved for what you produced, where approval arrived with a good report card or a trophy or an achievement and went quiet the rest of the time. You didn't learn I'm loved. You learned I am loved when I deliver. So stopping doesn't feel unproductive. It feels like love has been withdrawn from you. Like when you become invisible. It's not dramatic. That's the actual wiring. Now, the third is subtler. It's the child who became the steady one, the one who managed the siblings, soothed the anxious parent, and kept the emotional weather calm. You learned that your job was to carry, and that carrying was the price of belonging. Putting a business in that person's hands, and she will carry it the same way. Past the exhaustion, past the illness, past every signal her body sends. Whichever of those is yours, I want to hear the logic behind it. Your nervous system wasn't broken. It was brilliant, and it developed exactly the right survival strategy for the world you were in. The problem is you're no longer the part of that world. You're using its software on life that doesn't need it anymore. Let me tell you what this is actually costing you, not in the abstract, specifically. First, the quality of decisions. Every strategic call you make from depletion is second-rated one, and you make most of them from depletion because you never stop long enough to be anything else. Your best thinking lives in the break, and you almost never get there. Second, your launches and work operate at roughly 40% of your true capacity. This isn't due to your lack of ability, but because most of your energy is drained by the effort to maintain stability. Insights, refined offers, or new ideas never surface because there's no calm space for them to emerge. Third, the one thing women don't say out loud. The body has started to sending the bill. That's right. The gut, that's not right. the migraines, the cycle that's gone strange, the fatigue that sleep no longer touches. You can sleep for a week and wake up foggy because what you are in isn't tiredness, it's a survival state. And rest doesn't solve a survival state, only regulation does. In the women I work with, this pattern quietly costs them between 12 and 50,000 pounds a year in undercharging done out of exhaustion, in delayed launches, in low quality decisions, in clients lost because you had nothing left to give. Burnout costs you significantly long before it reaches a crisis point. The pusher ensures you don't see the bill until it's overwhelming. Now, here's the first thing I do with every pusher who walks into my clinical practice. I want you to do this because it's the bit that works. We don't prescribe rest. I told you why. Your body interprets collapse as more dangerous. So, go and relax just floods the system. Instead, we prescribe something the nervous system has never received evidence. I call it permission to stop. And here's exactly how it goes. You set 3 alarms during your workday. Label each one stop. This is important because the pusher will never stop on its own. Spontaneous stopping is too risky. Instead, you plan deliberately, like a fixed meeting you can't reschedule. When the alarm sounds, you stop regardless of what you were saying, even if you are mid-sentence. It's not about waiting until things are tidy or a task is complete, because the pattern of I'll stop when it's done keeps things from ever feeling fully finished. Pause for 2 minutes without any device or activity. Keep your feet flat on the floor. Take 3 deep, slow breaths, extending the inhale longer than the inhale, as the prolonged out breath helps physically shift you from acceleration to braking. And then you ask your body one question. What are you telling me? You are not aiming to correct the answer or solve the problem. Simply listen. Perhaps the one thing a pusher has genuinely never done. Here's the clinical reason why this works. Each time the alarm sounds, you pause for 2 minutes without negative consequences. And your nervous system records a new piece of data. It learns that stopping was survivable. The business remains stable. No one left. The long anticipated threat didn't occur. You're truly resting. You're gathering evidence. Proof is the only language a scared, anxious system understands. Do this for a week. 3 2-minute pauses each day. And many women I work with tell me the same thing. The internal alarms begins to quieten down when the body realizes it will be heard. Before resorting to shouting, it learns to calm itself. A body that trusts will be listened to no longer feels the need to scream. And that's just in the first week. The deeper work goes to the root of the problem, or the cause, the deeper cause of the problem, where this was first wired, and rewires it so the urge doesn't even fire. That's a different level. But this is where it starts, and it starts today. Now, here's the thing about the pusher. It rarely travels alone. Most of the women I see are running 2 or 3 of the 9 patterns at once. The pusher next to the people pleaser, the pusher beneath the perfectionist, and the one that's costing you the most money almost always is the one you can't see, because it's been running you for so long that it just feels like your personality. I created a free online tool to identify yours. It uses the same diagnostic tool I use with my one-to-one sessions. It's called the inner critic scorecard. In just 3 minutes, 9 patterns, you'll receive your first clinical tool. It's the first link in the description and it's completely free. Understand your pattern. Distinguish between thinking, I'm just like this, and realizing that's what's driving it and it can be changed. So I'll leave you with this today. You're not lazy. You are never going to fix this by trying harder. Trying harder is the pattern. You are not the woman who needs to be told to rest more. You're the woman who needs her body to learn slowly and with evidence that it's finally safe to stop. The woman you were before all of this holding, sharp, cleared, unhurried, has gone anywhere. Your nervous system has just built a wall between you and her. And when the system settles, the wall comes down, she comes back. So tell me in the comments, please, have you ever felt worse trying to stop than carrying on? If you have, that's not a flaw. That's the pusher. And now you know its name. Bye for now. I'll see you next week.